That's really funny, Serena. I think we're set up with no volume, so we didn't hear anything you just said. So it's super good to be here. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to actually have a camera on a coffee that I'm going to have with Erin. She's going to have coffee, but I'm not. I'm super excited to do another campfire chat with all of you. So let's go. I'm Jay Stark. I'm with the Donor Motivation Program. This is Erin Kuan. She's the president of the Lung Association of Saskatchewan. We had lunch a little while ago. Oh my gosh, we're on one camera.
I know. We're live and in person. I'm so excited.
This is exciting.
Yes.
First campfire chat with only one camera. So we're excited about that. But we had lunch, and at the end I said, Erin, if people were watching this, they would have got so much out of it. And she's like, yeah, it felt really good. I said, why don't you come on a campfire chat with me? So I kind of set her up, but here we are.
I'm just so happy to be here.
Yeah.
And connect with people across the country.
Cool. So we feel safe.
Absolutely.
We've done our best to mitigate as much risk as possible. And so we're here to share some wisdom. So I'm going to start with my drink. And this is a special brewery. It's called Tail Gunner. And it's a tribute that my cousin did to my great uncle. And he was the tail gunner of a Lancaster bomber that got shot down in World War II. And he was the only survivor. He was a prisoner of war for 2 years. It's a fascinating story. I'd love to tell you all about it. But my cousin started this beer in remembrance. So I think Erin was going to put that in the chat. I see it. That's so cool. And this is my favorite day to have a beer.
Oh, it's so big, yeah.
Because this is not normal.
Magical.
It's magical. It's Green Beer Day. So I was a bartender way back, and I was so excited on St. Patrick's Day. Went to work an hour early, filled every mug with 2 drops of food coloring because I was going to give everyone green beer. And 5 people came in, and I gave them each a green beer, and each one of them was upset. And I thought, what is going on? Why don't you want a green beer? It's St. Patrick's Day. And so I had to clean all the mugs, take the food coloring out. And what I learned that day was you actually are better to ask what people want. Perhaps some of them would have wanted a green beer, but none of them wanted when it was forced on them. So I didn't even offer you a green beer.
Well, cheers to that. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You too.
My drink doesn't nearly have the history and family homage that that yours does, but I'm having just an Irish coffee. And in our family, one of our favorite things to do at the lake is have a little nip before bedtime, maybe sitting around the campfire, just nice. Especially in those long beautiful prairie days. And my dad is a Scotch aficionado, so he really appreciates really good, aka expensive Scotch. It's his one indulgence that he really imbibes in. And I'm still learning to love Scotch, but this is one of the ways that I can chat with him. He can talk to me about his passion, among other things. But I have come to appreciate a really good Irish coffee in the evenings. And I did want to I don't know if you can see the mug, but this is my favorite mug to have things out of. And it says, OMG, Mom was right about everything. And I just thought, you know what, it ties into some of our conversation today that eventually all the good hard work that you do in the beginning when they're young, it does come back to you. Nice. Eventually they know who's right.
Nice.
So cheers to that. Oh, and there's the we hid that from camera view.
Yes.
So we're cheating today with a little.
That's fine. We preloaded. Yeah. We preloaded
Yep.
your coffee.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more correct for this time of day than mine,
Yes.
but that's fine. If you need to top up, let me know. This is more of a Christmas drink for me.
Sure.
And and this is a very tiny bottle, but
I'm really worried about spilling on camera, so we'll just keep that down there.
Well, we got lots to talk about. I think when we had coffee, you shared a story of a donor, and I thought it was just a fascinating journey that you went on with a donor who raised their hand, wanted a bit of help, and you really engaged them in what I felt was a unique way. feels like it's become your way. But do you want to tell us a bit about that journey?
Absolutely. So first, I'd have to say I had the privilege of working with, as many of us do in that fundraising sector, with an amazing team, both locally and at the time that I was with the organization, colleagues across the country as well too, to really help chart this path. And I think the story is so unique because it really started with someone banging on our door to say, hey, you guys, I'm passionate about your organization. I'm doing this great third-party fundraising event, but your platform for me to be able to solicit donations and issue receipts isn't working for me. So help me out. And with third-party events, sometimes you never know, okay, how much do I invest in this? Is it really going to net? You want to try and treat everybody like they could be your next millionaire next door, but you just never know. And so our staff person at the time said, absolutely, how can we help you? And took great strides to support this person in their event. It raised a substantial amount of money. And of course, that opened the door for just further conversations and stewardship. We were able to celebrate this person's success and ensure that all of their contributors were thanked appropriately. And then this person, of course, as we often do, popped up on our database to say, oh, actually, they are a direct mail donor. But at the time, the direct mail connection was purely run through the national office. And so at that time, this is probably 10, 12 years ago, databases didn't speak to each other. And so as fundraisers and folks in philanthropy, I would say generally we tend to be a little bit competitive. And so you want to be the one to maybe own the relationship or really kind of own the process. And so we really had to work together with other colleagues to say, this donor is giving in this way over here, but they're also engaging locally over here. So what is in the best interest of the donor, not about ourselves. And then through that, and it wasn't overnight that happened, we were able to start identifying other opportunities for this person to engage with us, and led to some great interactions. So that lays a little bit of the landscape.
Well, yeah, I feel like I have a fire hose spraying on me.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. I love that a donor raises their hand and I might be an advocate. You don't know if they're a millionaire next door. You don't know, you have limited time and resources, but you treat it with the potential for being a really good advocate. That's the word I would use.
Yes.
And
yeah.
you enter into a conversation, help make their event a success, win-win.
Absolutely.
Write them a thank you note, end of story. This is amazing. And yet you didn't treat it like that. You almost treated it like the start of a journey.
Absolutely.
And so where can we go with this advocate?
Exactly.
And then you said so much. And then you said, because I hear this, who owns that donor? And no one likes to be owned. So how do you, and yet there's donor fatigue. So there's all these things going on. How do you make sure that you aren't overdoing it with the donor, but how do you tweaked when you said the database, how does your database, how does that all come together so that you?
Absolutely. So, we always look at patterns, right? What are the moments in time that this person is giving? What are the interactions they've had? One of the things that I've learned over the years, and I think my staff have hammered into me, is, Erin, if you do nothing else, please enter good notes into the database when you're dealing with a donor, even if it's to say, had a great conversation or had a concerning conversation, like put it in there so people know. I always, I operate on the assumption that if I won the lottery tomorrow and said, I'm not coming back to work, it would be a disservice to anybody else that came after me if they came in and there were no notes on these donors and these relationships to carry forward.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
If nothing else, after a phone call, it's so easy. Now it's so easy to do that, right? So just so important. If there's nothing else that I think staff can do to manage up or manage those beneath us that are coming up is let's all sing from the same songbook.
I had a message on my phone this morning and I thought Erin won the lottery and wasn't going to do this talk. So I'm so glad you didn't win the lottery, but I love that mindset.
Yes. Yeah.
Hopefully you do win the lottery someday, but
that
data, that that's very rich to have that information, positive or negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes when you're listening, you don't like what you hear,
Right.
but it's part of the relationship.
Right.
Are you a good listener?
You know what? I think I've developed listening. So flash forward to this donor, we continue to start sending this person invitations to local events. So whether it's a donor reception, maybe to hear from if we were doing a research education event, you kind of start to engage, whether it's through phone or mail or email, to see what's going to be the hook. So, right, you're continually casting to say, how do you want to interact, as well as those conversations. And we actually had an opportunity where we were celebrating another stakeholder in the organization for some incredible philanthropic milestones. And this person was able to come. And through some other conversations, we knew that there was a keen interest in research, and particularly in supporting education for up and coming researchers. So at this reception, we ensured that we had some researchers in the room, but we also made sure that the researchers that were in the room were prepped for this kind of event. And I know that seems really simple, but the ability to have a great academic who can also network is, to me, gold, because they can articulate, they understand the mission and the vision of the organization, but they know how to speak to donor, and they really are almost acting as a salesperson for you. So that was crucial in setting up those researchers to be able to have those conversations. And my job at that reception was to make sure that, and a lot of people do this, you assign certain people within your staff or your volunteer leadership team to have conversations. And okay, Erin, your job is to connect person A and person B. And at this particular reception, I was able to do that. And what I've learned over the years is it's okay to be the first person to stop talking. And as a fundraiser, sometimes that's a really hard thing to do, because we want to sell and we want to excite people of what we do and we want to engage them.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's really important to say person A, meet person B, and make some sort of little anecdotal connection, and then just let it happen. And when that happens, it's like when two people meet that are meant to be together, and the sparks fly. And I think for us to be able to sit back, for me, I was able to just physically step back a little bit and watch this donor interact with the researchers, and watch him lean in and be curious, and just really observe what questions they were asking and how the responses were taken. And we can learn a lot by just observing body language, and not maybe being so much in our own head about what has to happen in this moment. It's about sometimes just letting it happen and following that donor's lead.
That's I almost feel like we're running a race and I can't keep up, because you went through a whole bunch of stuff, because I'm all about sparking conversations. I think so much comes out of conversation. So how do you spark the conversation? Except I don't want to lose control. And so you're losing control to let the donor take it where they want to go, right? And learn from the researcher, and you find out what's really important to them. And body language, for sure. There's Zoom's really helped, because I've had conversations with people, and if we were just on the phone, I don't think I would have picked up some cues. So that takes a bit of practice, and when you feel heard, then I think it unlocks deeper conversations. This person's actually hearing my concerns, and isn't maybe pushing an agenda. So really interesting.
Absolutely.
Okay, do I have another question? I just like listening to you. So So tell me more about.
So the path continues. The story continues. So shortly after that reception, we received a generous leadership gift, which was beautiful. That's of course what you hope to receive, or you're kind of taught to either ask for or expect or follow up with. So that was fantastic. But then again, that sparks more conversations about, okay, well, let's make sure that this person continues to be on our radar regularly. But now we kind of know what segment, if you will, they might be interested in. And so our staff continued to chat with this person, and of course realized that there was an opportunity for a larger gift. And I think at the beginning it was, I know when I got into nonprofit work back in the dark ages, you didn't go to school to learn how to be a fundraiser. It was something you kind of fell into, or you eventually evolved into. And so I know I took a lot of courses and observed a lot of great people that were in that field. And, you know, thought, okay, it has to be very prescriptive. Like, this is the textbook style of proceeding with a large legacy gift or what have you. And again, it goes back to what you said, is sometimes you have to sit back and just maybe let the other person guide the process. And so through conversation, this donor said, you know what, I hear what you're asking, and I know where, you know, ultimately we'd like this relationship to go. But he said, if you trust me with all of the information you've now provided me about the work that the organization does and some of the directions you want to go, I think I have the potential to perhaps secure an even more impactful gift for you. And we didn't really know what that looked like, because it's not this person. So you're essentially, again, he's almost going back to his third party induction into our family. And so at that point you go, okay, what do you need from us? And so they went away, and you kind of do some little prodding to say, is there anything else you need? How's the timeline? And then we got to the point where it was not specifically, don't call us, we'll call you, but understood that it's just going to take some time and just be patient. And so we wait patiently, literally sitting on hands and just, you know, that's fine.
That's not easy.
That's not easy to do. And then it was a few months later, we receive an email, and this was probably over the course of maybe 6 months, 8 months. And we continued to connect. And then it was kind of towards about the end of 6 months, we got an email that just said, you know, I'm pleased to let you know that the check is in the mail. And took a little longer, but I think you'll really be pleased at, you know, what I was able to do. And so we're thinking, great, this is, you know, we'll wait for the check in the mail, and we're expecting, okay, this formal, like, you know, as a gift planner, you think, okay, there's going to be an agreement, probably potentially a legal document, whatever this person needs. And in the office, you know, on a Monday, we come in and there's a small little gift card sized envelope that you would mail, like a beautiful little thank you card. And we open the envelope, and in it is a check for $1 million. Just the most humble, anonymous. It was just a beautiful. We were completely overwhelmed. There was actually a few tears of pride and just really humbly so appreciative of what this person had done.
Yeah, so this patience doesn't always pay off. That's the first thing that comes to mind. You did identify a millionaire next door, and then you had to let them do the frontline work. So it's almost like an extension of your team that you've equipped to do that work, but that's hard to. It's hard to. I was nervous when I was about to propose to my girlfriend, and I didn't want her to say no, so I sought some wisdom, and I thought it would work better if they did the ask. But I wanted to do the ask, but they would be more successful at it. So it's like I know the donor has the connection to this anonymous person, but how do you? That would be a challenge. And then right away, I can hear people saying, "Wow, is she ever lucky?" Because it's a lucky day.
Lucky day. Yeah.
Was there luck involved, or what's your view on
luck?
On
it's funny, right? I think luck. Lucky is when you buy a scratch off ticket and you win enough money to buy the next scratch off ticket. To me, that's luck. And I don't have a lot of luck when it comes to scratch off tickets, but
that's by design.
That's I think so. I think so. Yeah. And but I think the good fortune of having this journey result in that is because all this great groundwork has been laid by volunteers and staff ahead of time, and there've been great conversations behind the scenes to talk about what do we need to provide to this person in order for them to make an impact for many, many years to come. I would say that I'll tell you the gift, the anonymous gift that we received, the person who we're kind of referring to as the donor that facilitated the gift, I think was also really listening to the person. It was a close connection of theirs. And I think they knew that this person wanted to make an impact before they passed, because unfortunately we received that gift and just a few weeks later the donor did pass away. And again, we were just so honored that this person chose to do this tremendous act before they passed, but that our donor connector, our donor facilitator, as I might call them, knew probably understood the timelines for that person and helped facilitate that. So that was pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting. You used a word. I asked you about luck, and you said if I do these things, because we talked about listening, learning, leading, and that leads to luck. But I like your word impact, because I think it's, you create your own luck, right? And you do a lot of hard work, do things, maybe you took the long way around, but it led to big impact, both for your organization. I love win-win, and I would say that would be a big win for the impact that donor wanted to have on their estate and on their family.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a powerful story. So I'm waiting for the story to end. When does the story end?
It's just incredible. So the story continues that we received this beautiful gift, and of course the donor and the family who provided the gift, we respect time that they needed to grieve the loss of this person and kind of settle things that they needed to do. But then I had an opportunity to introduce this person to to my boss, and just again demonstrate our appreciation. And this person really did not want a lot of recognition, but he was interested in, for sure, I'll have a coffee and a conversation. I'm happy to do that. And through that conversation, we learned more just about their desires as they approached retirement, and also more about where the desire to facilitate this gift came from. So we were able to do a couple of things from that conversation. One was, again, the donor expressed a desire to continue to contribute to research and education of rising stars. So I had an opportunity to actually host this person at a fantastic research conference. And you think, oh my gosh, you're going to a conference with a bunch of scientists. Like, a lot of information can go over my head. I don't know about others, but it can go over my head. But the beautiful thing was that lots of times at research conferences, scientists are sharing small little excerpts of the projects they're working on. And it is at a high level, but they don't have enough time to actually get into the microscopic details of it. So the average person can, if you're interested, you can actually glean quite a bit about where the project is going. But moreover, to hear these scientists talk about what they've been able to do because of the gifts of donors, like the person that I was hosting, also just continued to affirm that this person had made is going to make an impact for many years to come in the way that they chose. So that was really exciting. That obviously intrigued more conversations.
Yeah.
But the other piece we learned when we were just having a coffee conversation was that I'm approaching retirement. I'm starting to think about what might be, some areas where I can lend some of my professional expertise and leadership to great organizations. And that actually rolled into conversations about joining our board at a senior level, or other committees that might be able to have impact in. So the story continues.
It does. I think legacy giving is all about the story never ending. And so that's what I love about this. You're just going deeper and deeper. And you made a comment about the anonymous donor. I don't need to be thanked. I don't know if you said thank, but I don't want. And yet I believe that when people say they don't want to be thanked, they still perceive a lack of appreciation or unexpressed appreciation as a lack of appreciation. If you don't say thank you, they assume that you're not thankful. And so sometimes we can trip ourselves up by not expressing appreciation, even to people that say they don't want it. And that you took it and went deeper. So the story is getting, will not get to the end. It's deepening this relationship, and it might just be getting started. It's fascinating to me.
I think there's just the tremendous potential for that story to continue for this person's generation. And what I loved about working with this donor is that they had very active conversations with their family and peers along the way. And to me, that's like all the things we want to teach our children, values and just how to be good humans. And to me, when that story is able to continue, that has a ripple effect for far and wide.
Nice. You're very donor centric. So that's a big part of what I believe is to be donor centric, set aside my agenda. Sometimes it's a long, windy path. You don't know if it's going to, you don't know where it's going to go. But you come around to find win-win solutions. And so that's now I'm going to go backwards a bit, because this role you're in is on the job training. Like, I love the CAGP because there's these types of conversations, and there's an openness to collaborating and sharing. And so what have been your I don't know, your greatest sources of wisdom along the way? Trial and error, mentors, donors. Where do you get your sense of what path to take?
I would say all those things. Absolutely. I had a wonderful mentor, a former boss that was probably more on the push, right? You got to get out the door. You got to make the ask. You got to, you have all the information that you need. And so it was quite assertive, because he was just so well equipped to that, and had a lot of success. And I think at that point in my career, I was still finding my own voice. And I think one of the things that I worked really hard on through listening to conversations or being part of, whether it was CAGP learnings, the donor motivation program, AFP, all those things that are out there in our communities, was working on finding your own voice, like how to make the ask, or how to choreograph the conversation. And that took time. As we often can sit, we can role play with with other staff or volunteer leaders on how to have a conversation. But I think you really have to find what makes you comfortable and what excites you. Because when I'm excited about something that I am perceivably kind of selling, that comes across to the donor, and then they're engaged in the conversation. So I think it's watching the success of others, it's taking professional education, but it's also working on how is Erin going to be successful at this, and what do I have to listen, and also receiving feedback, right? Receiving feedback from other people that might be watching me in a network reception to say, oh, Erin, you talk too much, or you didn't talk enough. Right.
I'm just gonna, I think we've been on mute the whole time.
Uh-oh.
Can you imagine? That'd be funny. Well, that flew by.
Yes, it did. That was so fun.
It was fun. Yeah. I think I'm glad this chat was recorded, because I think every time I talk to you, actually one of the positive things from this pandemic we've been on is our paths crossed. And that I'm certainly grateful for.
Me too.
I think I think this was a great conversation. It feels like the start of a conversation, because I think campfire chats can go on and on and on. Gosh. And I think I'm certainly open to the one-on-ones. I hope there are people that we've inspired in the audience that want to have a continuation of this conversation. So I'm going to invite people to connect with us on LinkedIn.
Yes, please do.
You're open to that? Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. And then let's just treat this as the start of a new journey and new conversations that we can learn from each other. I have a plug for a colleague of mine, Betty Ann Howard. She's doing the next Campfire chat with a colleague of hers, Mary Lynn Stewart. That's Mary Lynn is the national director of the Leadership Giving at the March of Dimes. Their talk is going to be March 7th at 11 a.m. Eastern. So do your adjustments on that time. And they're going to be talking about embracing emotions as a catalyst for change. So I think that's up in the chat, and you can watch for an email that will register you for that talk. Thank you for joining our talk, Erin. This is awesome. I learned a few new things and had a few things affirmed, because I do think you're wise beyond your years. You've been in this for a few years. I think your 30th is coming up soon. Not sure if that's an anniversary or birthday or what, but this is yeah, I feel lucky today that we had this chat, and yeah, thanks for coming on.
It's been my pleasure, and thanks everyone for taking a half an hour out of your day today. Awesome.
Have a great day. I think that's the longest I've ever gone without having a morning beer that I haven't even touched it. What is
you didn't even have a sip? No, will you get a green mustache when you drink that?
We'll see.